Everybody good? All right. So good morning, everybody. Deputy Chief Mark Muir with RPD. I just wanted to touch on things and give you a little bit of an update and touch on things that took place over the weekend. One of the high points that I wanted to touch on was the resiliency of the Rochester community. Everybody knows what took place Saturday, and obviously that was some unrest and some difficult situations that we dealt with, but the community as a whole came together. Sunday morning we had volunteers in the thousands that were helping clean up the graffiti and clean up the garbage and the trash, and it's just amazing how our community came together to help out with that whole issue. And the support that we've been receiving as a department is amazing as well. We've gotten donations of water, food. You can look right over to the side and there's all kinds of food that the community's been donating to our officers and to the volunteers. So that's the uplifting part. You know, the Rochester Police Department certainly understands and we support First Amendment rights of our community. What we cannot support, though, obviously, is the unrest that took place Saturday, the destruction of property, and you know, looting and things of that nature. So we're here to basically, I'm here today just to give you an uplifting piece about what our community is doing as a whole to support us and to support the community. The fact that thousands of people came out, many of which came out on their own before we even asked for any support. We're here cleaning up graffiti and doing all those things. It's just amazing how the community has come together. Another thing I'd like to do is touch on our local, state, and federal law enforcement partners that came in to assist us. We can't say enough about the troopers and the sheriff deputies and the town police that all came in to support us. It's huge. It's a big deal for us, and we appreciate that greatly. As you know, we've made some arrests, and we fully expect to make more arrests as things move forward. So on that note, what I'm going to do is pass off the microphone to Captain Frank Umbrino and let him touch on a few things. And that's really what the message was today. Thank you.
Good morning. Like the chief said, we're going to talk a little bit about what we're doing moving forward as far as the investigations go. What I can tell you is that patrol section investigations as well as the major crimes unit are both actively involved in investigating not only the burning of police cars and the damage of property here outside the public safety building, but as well as throughout the city. We are prioritizing. Obviously, there's a lot of crimes that need to be investigated, but we are dedicated and committing to doing as much as we possibly can and holding as many people accountable as we possibly can. We're communicating daily with our local law enforcement agencies, the towns, the sheriff's department, and we are all sharing information. Numerous arrests have been made in the other jurisdictions, and we are communicating with them every day and sharing information to continue with our investigations that are going on here in the city. I want to echo what the Deputy Chief said. We have been overwhelmed with the amount of responses. We've sent out multiple attempts to identify pictures for people that we want to speak with, and the response from the community has been outstanding. I will tell you, I was a little taken aback, as there is, you know, if there's one person that was out there doing bad things, there's 10 people that are extremely upset that that one person was out there stealing and committing vandalism. It's really been overwhelming. The chief also had mentioned there will be additional arrests forthcoming. Multiple arrests were made the night of the protests, but I can assure you that in the near future there will be additional arrests forthcoming, and that those arrests will be for a whole variety of things, whether it be burglary, arson, rioting. We will be making more arrests. If you were involved in that behavior, you need to be looking over your shoulder, because there's a pretty good chance that ultimately we're going to come knocking on your door and taking you away. You know, the arrests, I don't know when they're going to occur. They could occur in the next 10 minutes. They could occur in the next couple hours. They could occur over the next couple weeks. And it may be 2 months from now when we get somebody ID'd and we have enough to go and lock them up. So we will not stop until we can hold as many people accountable as possible. We're also working with in addition to our local law enforcement partners, we're working with our federal law enforcement partners. There are crimes that were committed that may fall under federal statutes, specifically a lot of the arson that occurred, whether it be to police vehicles or something else. Depending on what was set on fire, there are federal charges that we are exploring potentially charging people with. We have been in contact with the federal prosecutors here in our jurisdiction, and we're working very closely with our district attorney's office as well. So we will use every tool in our toolbox to hold those accountable for what they did. At that point, we'll try and take a few questions, and as you guys know, that anytime we're talking about active investigations, we have to be very limited on what we can say, but if there are some general questions that we can answer, we'll be more than happy to try and do that.
There's kind of been this outsider narrative that's been pushed, from both, the sheriff, from Chief Singletary, from the mayor. Have you seen that in the arrests that you've made so far, and are you prepared to release some of the information on the arrests you've made? We heard that most of the arrests were from people that were either from Monroe County or from the city.
Not going to comment on the arrests that were made that night at this point. I think information has been released to you guys. I'm not in a position to comment on where those people lived or not. As far as the investigation goes, we'll find out. What I can tell you is there's a lot of people that were involved in this behavior, and I say a lot. There's 100 times more people that are upset about the behavior, but it's a wide array of people that were involved.
But you have sent out a flyer with people on. I know you don't know who they are, but what do you think their role was in all of this? For example, suspect number 10 today had a white box, and he had a incendiary device that he put up underneath, so he clearly brought that with him.
I can't comment on the pictures that we sent out. What I can tell you is that they are all people that we're interested in speaking with. They may be suspects, they may be witnesses. I can't tell you that at this point in time. But I can promise you eventually you will have the answer to that, but I can't say. They were involved or witnessed some type of illegal activity that we're investigating.
Do you think they were part of Black Lives Matter?
Again, I can't even confirm to you that they're actually suspects. They're people that we're interested in speaking with, and I can't comment on who they may or may not be affiliated with. What I can tell you is that we are going to do everything that we can to not only hold them accountable for their behavior, but we're going to see what maybe fueled their criminal activity. Whether it's connection to some type of organization or not, that's something that we're going to be looking into, and we have been communicating with, again, our federal partners to share information.
So you have not identified any said organizations or anything like that?
That's not something that I can comment on right now.
Frank, you've got some pretty clear photographs of people, sometimes in the act.
Mm-hmm.
What's to prevent you from having arrested them by now?
Well, that's a great question, Berkeley. That's a question that we get all the time. It's very complicated. Just because I know who you are, there's certain levels, there's certain requirements in the law that we need to meet before we can go and arrest you, okay? And to the average person, I know that's not an acceptable answer, but, there's a process. There's a criminal justice process, and nobody gets more frustrated with it than I do, but unfortunately it takes time. Just because we know that it's you, we have to be able to articulate and prove that it's you, beyond me just saying, yeah, I know that's you.
So have those people been, the people who mentioned whose faces are very clear, have they been identified? You know that it is John Doe, Jane Doe. Have you been able to put identities to those faces, and now you just have to mount the case to go arrest them?
Yes and yes. So we do know who some of the individuals are. We're still working identifying other individuals that are in there. We're working on verifying identities. And I apologize for kind of being vague on that, but yes, we do know who some are. We're still working on others, and we're trying to confirm others.
And to be clear, you're talking about people that you believe are outside of, like, not from Rochester?
I never said that.
Oh, okay. So moving along, and then in terms of those federal charges, you said it could include like burning government property, like a police vehicle?
Correct.
Or some of the other potential federal charges?
Burning a police vehicle, may violate some federal statutes. That's something that we're exploring right now, and if it in fact is, that is certainly something that we're going to take advantage of. We want to, people need to be held accountable for their actions. Our job as a police department is to hold people accountable when they commit a crime. We are one part of the criminal justice system. We can only do so much. And our commitment to the community is to do our job and arrest people that are destroying things they should not be destroying. And I applaud and appreciate the community support in that, and it has been overwhelming. And what I will say is that support and that desire and that insistence on holding people accountable can't stop with the police department, okay? When these people go to court and they're going in front of a judge, the community needs to follow this court case and see how these cases are adjudicated by whoever's presiding over them. That is something that's critical. We, as a police department, can only do so much. Others need to step up and do what they can do as well.
Are there any concerns about rallies this weekend?
That's not something that I'm going to get into. My job is investigations.
So, again, as the captain said, ultimately the investigation's ongoing, so we're probably not going to have many more comments on the investigation at this point. Mainly what I wanted to do was emphasize the giant amount of support that we received from the community, not only with helping out with the graffiti and the cleanup, but also the tips that have been coming in. And I know the captain touched on it, we touched on it a little bit earlier, but when we send out the photos, or if somebody is aware of something that took place, they can reach out to us via Facebook, Twitter, any of the social media venues, phone calls, video, any of that stuff helps. We're doing everything that we can to make sure that we make the arrest so that the good citizens of our community are taken care of. So,
what about the message that came? What about the message that came before all of the chaos? Do you guys in any way support the Black Lives Matter movement? Do you
we support our community's First Amendment rights to protest in a peaceful manner, and we've stood by that all along. And the city and the police department will continue to do so, and we will protect the good citizens of Rochester while other citizens are doing so.
And as a follow-up, you've seen departments across the country that have joined in on these protests. Whether it be in Geneva, whether it be...
I'm not going to comment on what other departments do. I just know that what we do here is our department. I'll take two more questions.
Do you get a heads up from people who want to have a peaceful protest? Do you get a heads up from them that says, hey, we're going to be here, we want it to be peaceful, and we'd like you to come and make sure people don't come in and as the word has been, hijacked?
Generally speaking, we try to reach out when we know a protest is going to take place. We try to reach out and come up with some ground rules, so to speak, or an understanding with who's organizing that particular protest. And if you look at some of the footage from what took place Saturday, you'll see that a good majority of the peaceful protesters got into arguments and almost skirmishes with some of the folks that were doing the bad things. So there's by and large, the vast majority of the people that were here, out of the thousands that were here, were good community members from our city and the surrounding area. It's unfortunate that a few individuals caused what they caused, but again, we're here to support the good members of our community, and we'll continue to do so. One more question.
What about moving forward? If there are protests planned this weekend, there are shop owners who now are afraid we're going to get a repeat. What are you folks doing?
Again, we have our entire department who we've activated, and we've got protocols in place. We have support from the state police, we have support from the county. We have, without a doubt, taken all precautions necessary to ensure the safety of our community and our citizens.
How many businesses total were damaged over the weekend?
I don't have a specific number, but it was a lot.
Hey Frank, just one last question, I apologize.
Last one, Berkeley.
The video that shows that incident with the 2x4s outside the business around Broad and
Monroe Avenue.
Monroe Avenue. Have you identified anybody in that video?
Patrol section investigations has taken the lead on that case. And I can tell you that they are making progress in that case. I cannot get specific on it, but we are prioritizing. Obviously, we have to prioritize our cases. And cases of that nature are certainly of a high priority level. So I can tell you they are very actively working that, and they are making some progress.
So the last thing I'd like to say is I'd like to thank our media outlets. You guys have been phenomenal this last few days, and we have a good working relationship with you, and we want to continue that, and I appreciate everything that you do. So thank you, stay safe, and have a great day.